folks, this is Logan Wells with Dream Guitars and Gage Halland with Dream Guitars. And we had a little time today. Gage is in town, so we decided to do a little chit-chat. And to that point, we've been here for a little while, and in that time, we've discussed a lot of things, and we're going to get into a few of those here now as well, if you're into it.
I'm in. Let's
Great.
do it.
Killer. So we were chatting about, there's like two broad camps of builds. There's the heavy build, and then there's the lightweight build. You fall more into the former category. And I was curious if you want to speak to, why you do that and pros and cons.
I can speak to my theories and opinions on it. I'm not
Sure.
going to say anything's definitive, but the way that I choose to build is a heavier guitar. The idea in my mind is the heavy part of my instrument is the skeletal foundation of the instrument. So I want my tops and backs to be active, but I want them to be attached to something of substance. So when I say heavy guitars, a lot of times people will think I have a thicker top, lighter bracing, or maybe just heavy in general. And I think that I do build a more substantial guitar, but my tops aren't ridiculously thick. I think that I build to a deflection measurement. I don't build to a certain thickness, and I've found that the more mass that I have in the rim set, or let's say the neck, or at least rigidity in the neck, it translates to more crystalline trebles, and I like substance in those notes. And so that's kind of where I come from. That being said, too, I also like the idea of a guitar with longevity. That I remember growing up, and when your toy breaks, it's sad, and so
Okay, sure.
I don't want anyone to be sad.
Yeah, that's fair. That's good consideration for for your clients moving forward. Yeah, yeah. I also appreciate the idea of building for longevity, because instruments, they change, they move over time, and ideally, if you're preparing for that beforehand, your adjustments and your repairs are minimal. Down the line.
Well, and especially in the world that we live in now, where you at Dream are shipping all over the world. I could sell a guitar to a guy in California. He could choose to sell it again, and you guys could be sending it to Singapore, Malaysia, or Australia, anywhere. And so I think that you need to build something that at least has the legs to safely make it to those places. It may need adjustment when it gets there, but I don't want something that's falling apart in transit.
No, that's actually a very good point. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, cheers. Well, on that note, speaking of adjustability and things like that, you famously don't use an adjustable truss rod system in your necks. So you want to walk me through the whys and wherefores? It's kind of a contentious topic.
Yeah, let's make some friends.
As it were.
I don't. I always think I think it was Ken Parker that said the truss rod, it causes a problem, or it fixes a problem that the truss rod causes, which is that you route a channel in this wooden neck. You take a metal truss rod and you embed it in it, and usually it's in two globs of silicone caulking, and in that, then you expect that thing to be able to adjust and to change the relief, which it does a great job of. The downside for me, or at least in my brain, is dissimilar materials, and we have A440 or whatever your tuning is, your frequency, and we've got those frequencies moving through dissimilar materials. They're going to move at different speeds of sound. So my theory, at least, is I don't want there to be as many things impeding that speed of sound. And I've found that I use a carbon fiber insert that's made by a defense contractor. They make helicopter rotors, and you can basically stand on the neck and it doesn't deflect.
Yeah, fair enough.
The other bright side of carbon fiber in the neck, at least in my view, is that carbon fiber has a memory. So you can deflect it with enough pressure, but it always will go back to that. It doesn't bend. It will bend to failure. So the beauty of that in a fretboard is if you know that you can tune a guitar with that insert to, say, open C, you can adjust your fretboard so that you have the right amount of relief in it for that. And then if you tune it up, it only moves incrementally as you tune up with more tension. So you could really never tune it up to the point where the relief is unusable, and you can only down tune it enough to where it's flat, which is exactly what would happen with a truss rod. So
that's a fair point. Yeah.
So it's kind of It's a dark rabbit hole to go down though, because there's
Yeah.
some camps that really like the truss rod, and
Sure.
I've built guitars with truss rods too, and they work. I just think that with composite science where it is now, material science, we can do better than the truss rod.
Fair enough. The adjustable truss rod system. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long ago did you actually move to this current camp?
8 years ago.
Okay, so it's been a while. Okay.
Because it took a while to find the right materials to put in the neck, because
Sure.
not all carbon fibers created equal. So, and I know a lot of people that build with a truss rod and carbon fiber, and that's a fantastic idea. I just thought, for my guitars, I wanted to see what you could do without it.
Yeah, and I mean, for what's worth, every guitar of yours I've played, the setup's been pretty much perfect every time.
And it doesn't move, which is
Yeah.
the thing. Even with environmental changes, or it's pretty impressive that it just. And that's not on my account. That's the fact that the science is there. The composites are there that are doing the job,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
That's a fun new direction to move into. For
Yeah.
Sure.
Or infuriating, depending on.
Well, I mean, yeah, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. So you have worked with both John Graven and Michael Greenfield, of course.
Yes.
Two very different builders, and you yourself are yet another builder entirely.
Yes.
But I would love to, kind of get your 2 cents on how you feel those two have informed you over the past number of years, and in what ways you've, moved in different directions. Stuff
Yeah.
Like that.
I don't think I would be building guitars professionally without both of them in my past. And John really introduced me to the history of the Western guitar, because he is a walking encyclopedia of he and his buddies, they look at old pictures from the Martin factory and they blow up to see what the tools are on the bench and stuff. So he was really vital in teaching me about. I would say that John's guitars are essentially pitch perfect copies of the best guitars from that era.
Yeah.
In the sense that he so closely follows the style that they build in. It turns out that's not the style that I like to build in, because my guitars aren't like that now. And they're much more influenced by my time spent at Greenfield. And Greenfield is the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to that, where it's, again, he's not as concerned about ultralight. His fit and finish is stellar, out of this world. Everyone knows that. His sound is a very thick, tone-filled. It's just an enjoyable. It envelops you in this fat tone, which I love. And I still vividly remember the first time I heard a Greenfield guitar was in his shop. I wasn't even in the room. He was in the setup room. And he strung up, I remember it was an Amazon Rosewood non-cutaway negative neck angle.
Oh, cool.
And he strummed it. And I literally let hair on my arms stood up. I was like,
Yeah.
it's magic. And so that was sort of my, this is my sound. And I can say that Michael's influence on my life and on my building has been teaching me about the business of being a guitar maker. Because I really had a much more arts and crafts kind of approach before I got there, and I could not have asked for a better mentor in the sense that he taught me about, on top of making the guitars, how to market, sell, what to shoot for, when to say no, which is a big one. And on top of that, hard-boiled eggs and espresso. That's what we covered.
Yes, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't put enough value on both of their influences. They've been great.
Yeah, that's fair. That's really good to hear. And frankly, I've played a lot of your guitars. I played a lot of Michael's guitars. I played a lot of John's guitars too, for what it's worth. And of those two dudes, you seem to definitely have more of a Greenfield kind of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it's easy for my work to be immediately compared to Michael's. I mean, the rosette's essentially the same with different materials, and that's in the Spanish tradition, that's a nod to my mentor. So that's something that Michael and I discussed before I even left, was is this what I should be doing?
Yeah. Sure.
And in the same way, I really dig asymmetrical bridges. So mine's asymmetrical like Michael's is, and the string through instead of the pins. So the influence of Michael is everywhere on my guitars. And to be compared to Michael Greenfield is not a bad thing at times.
You're not
I'm
wrong.
totally fine with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But your body sizes are quite different.
Yes.
He doesn't do a Mod D. You definitely do.
Yeah, that was one of the things also that I wanted to leave his shop and make my guitars. And I think it would have been very easy to leave and just sort of crank out what would be considered the discount Greenfield guitar. And I never wanted to do that. And I don't think Michael wanted me to do that either, obviously. So he's been incredibly supportive since I left his shop in getting me off the ground, essentially. And I said, I've never been an apprentice before. I'm like, do I use your name? Will I say I was your apprentice? And he's like, yeah, you definitely do. You've earned that right. So you get to use that. So it was, I can't put enough value on that. It was amazing. So this is my first, it's the first 00 that's been available publicly. And this is it's a Swiss moon spruce and Brazilian rosewood. And it's 12 frets to the body, 25.34 scale length. I kind of moved away from the shorter scale lengths. Wider nut, wider saddle. Just kind of set up to...
What's the nut?
1 in 27/32.
27?
Yeah.
Interesting, okay.
And this is 2 and 5/16.
5/16, okay.
Yeah.
So,
And it's really because I wanted to be able to play it and really get to know it, and my fingers are quite dumb. So I want a little more space up there.
Fair enough. I like a wider board myself, actually. It's a little easier to get around. Yeah.
So it's... I'm very happy with how it turned out. Actually.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and so again, like the curves here really aren't Greenfield curves at all. The bridge and the rosette, 100%.
Yeah.
But
And that was another Michael Greenfield thing though. Is I think it was 6 months in, and I'm panicking about having something that was worth building a shape.
Yeah.
And he said, draw it and put it on your wall. So it lived on the wall of our apartment for 2 years. And I looked at it every day, would like hit it with an eraser, move lines around and stuff until I was really happy with it.
That's awesome.
And then that OM design influenced everything else that I did. And so right now I've only got the 4 models and we're working on a jumbo, but...
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's a hard one though. Jumbos are hard.
Yeah. Well,
to
Mike
be
pulls them off.
playable,
I'm sure
but-
you can too.
Yeah, I think so.
Like full 17-inch kind of big boy, big boy? All right.
Yeah.
Keep me posted, dude.
If I can find tops and such.
Yeah, there's that, yeah. Which, I mean, actually to that point, you mentioned earlier, eventually we're going to have to start doing 4-piece tops for Adirondack, which I have no qualms with.
Yeah, I mean, we joined wood for this whole instrument, so I don't think there's any difference in, and I know that there's going to be people that are shy about, or at least hesitant, I should say, about getting into something like that. But there's some killer guitars out there that have 3-piece tops and 4-piece tops. So
Yep, can confirm I have one.
I think I'll just start painting them, and then you'll never know. And
Yeah, classic technique.
Yeah.
The innovation of the sunburst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. And you're taking this on the road for a couple of shows.
Yeah, I just left the Swananoa Gathering in Asheville, and I'm going to Chicago at the end of next month for the Fretboard Summit.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, I'm heading to Texas for the big show.
Right.
So,
Cool, man.
and then they'll be here, I believe. So.
They will indeed, unless of course you sell them at your show.
Yes, which that's never happened. So
Yeah, fair enough. Well, tomorrow could be a new day. But in the meantime, we will definitely have these on the website as Incoming Guitars, so you can check them out there. And yeah, we will talk to you soon.